right, Basement Tapes, number 86 here. We are in the 60s, and let's talk a little bit about the 60s, okay? Um, Changes abounding in the world, obviously, geopolitical situations. Boy, I'm getting deep real quick. Colonialization is sort of ending throughout the world. Doesn't necessarily mean things get better, just gets a little crazier. And of course, we have our music and our hippies and our fine cultural, internal cultural revolution in late 60s. But here we are in 1960s with baseball. And baseball, of course, dominated by Tops at this point. Football is completely about ready to go sideways here for various reasons in the 60s as far as cards. Fleer is still going at it. And Tops, I guess, motivated by Fleer, the Fleer set or sets of the 1959 Ted Williams and perhaps even the Three Stooges, or as they say in Mexico, Trace Stooges. Anyway, Tops would up its game, start throwing some stuff out there, inserts, all that fun stuff. A lot of really cool things would happen in the 60s, and we'll get to that, obviously. Tops certainly wasn't resting on their laurels. They were trying to be creative, trying to get people to stay with them. We would have some Leaf. We'd have at least one Leaf issue, at least I have, in 1960. We would have, later on in the decade, we'd have kind of a crazy thing where the MLBPA is formed and licensing becomes a big deal. And players are told to not sign contracts with bubblegum companies like Tops. And Fleer would challenge Tops again in the late 60s. And we would get the kind of like the early to mid 50s where we would get repetitive photos on cards, which we thought was behind us. But apparently in the late 60s, we would find out that's not the case. We would also have in the 60s an amazing amount of, well, expansion teams, I guess. And we had some movement in the 50s, but the 60s would go crazy. 61 Tops is indicative of that. We'd see our first Houston 45s, Colt 45s cards, and our Mets cards later on. And then, of course, we'd have the Seattle Pilots era and the Padres and the Expos and the Royals and so on and so on and so on. The Washington Senators would be on the move. They would move, and then they would be reincarnated, and then eventually they would move again. So lots going to happen here. I don't need to tell you folks that. And when I say you folks, I'm talking to you folks. And anyway, the times they are changing, and boy, are we excited about that. Let's talk about 1960 Fleer. I threatened to talk about it, and here we are. 1960 Fleer is a set, excuse me, a set that is epic, if you ask me. And it is the first set, I think, that encompasses all of the baseball greats from essentially the first half of the 20th century, almost exclusively, other than a few managers and stuff like that, and a few great players. It is definitely heavy from the early days of baseball, and it is a set that, for all but one card, I have completed, but it is there's a reason I haven't completed it all, and we'll find out about that in a minute. So I have 59 of these cards, or 79 of these cards. I'm a liar. 79 of these cards, and let's talk about this per Beckett OPG. Boy, that didn't go well. Fleer, I could have sworn I had this all dialed in. All right, so 82 cards, and we'll find out a little bit about those here in a second. Average value, $93.54, $7,670 total value. A set of these will cost between $300 and $800. I don't believe that. They do consider a complete set 79 cards. So in theory, I have a complete set. Don't call me a liar. It says it right there on Beckett.com. But let's dig into this because it's very interesting, perhaps to somebody other than myself as well, because I find it interesting. The cards in the 79 card set measure 2.5 by 3.5 inches. The cards from the 1960 Fleer series of baseball greats are sometimes mistaken for the 1930 cards by collectors not familiar with this set. The cards each contain a tinted photo of a baseball immortal, and were issued in one series. There are no known scarcities, although a number 80 card, Pepper Martin reverse Eddie Collins, Joe Tinker, or Lefty Grove obverse, exists. This is not considered part of the set. The catalog designation for the 1960 Fleer is R418-2. The cards were printed on a 96 card sheet with 17 double prints. These are noted in the checklist below by DP. On the sheet, the second Eddie Collins card is typically found in the number 80 position. According to correspondence sent from Fleer at the time, no card 80 was issued because of contract problems. Some cards have been discovered with wrong backs. The cards were issued in nickel packs, which were packed 24 to a box. So, again, I don't know why I love these Fleer sets so much, but I do. I like the card stock. I like kind of the tint and the hue to the front of the cards. They kind of have a natural patina based on the cardboard they chose or the paper they chose. So I like the way they look, and I like the way they are designed, especially the back. So let's look at the 82 cards here listed on Beckett and see what the top three are. There's a Babe Ruth and a Gehrig, and I'm sure the variations are pretty far up there, if not the top. So the variations, card number 80A, B, and C will run you about $2,500 max, $2,000 max for cards 1 through 3, and they are Pepper Martin with Eddie Collins on the back, Pepper Martin with Lefty Grove on the front, Pepper Martin with Joe Tinker on the front. So these are not considered part of the set again, so that's why we consider 79 cards to be the complete set. I'd like to see these variations, and I'm sure I will someday, but they're pretty scarce. Other than those three, you have your Babe Ruth, your Lou Gehrig, and your Ted Williams. Let's talk about the Ted Williams card in a bit, but maybe Fleer will bring that up, or maybe TCD will bring that up on their page. Going there now. Teams. This is going to be a lot of teams, folks. So grab yourself a Zima and sit back and enjoy. Baltimore Orioles, Boston Braves, Boston Red Sox, Brooklyn Dodgers, Chicago Cubs, Chicago White Sox, Cincinnati Redlegs, Cincinnati Reds, Cleveland Indians, Cleveland Naps, Cleveland Spiders, Detroit Tigers, Kansas City Athletics, Los Angeles Dodgers, Milwaukee Braves, New York Giants, New York Yankees, Philadelphia Athletics, Philadelphia Phillies, Pittsburgh Pirates, San Francisco Giants, St. Louis Browns, St. Louis Cardinals, and the Washington Senators. Of course, the errors and variations, 80A, B, and C, are Eddie Collins, Lefty Grove, and Joe Tinker, with Pepper Martin on the backs of all. Let's see here. My dog is hiccuping. I apologize. Hall of Famers, there are so many. 78 of these cards have Hall of Famers on them. Maybe we'll dig deep into who the Hall of Famers aren't, but it's very slim pickings here. I think it's card number 19. So let's put a pin in that. And card number, maybe that's it. Anyway, most of these players are Hall of Famers. No rookie cards, of course, because these are all legends of the game. Let's see here. There is a team logo decal associated with this. Let's pop that up there. Pretty cards here, actually, if you ask me. These little logos. It says, for use on glass, wood, or metal, or other objects, dip transfer into water for about 30 seconds or until it releases. Then slide off onto article desired and press down with a soft cloth or squeegee to remove all water and air bubbles. Allow to dry. So you have some logos there. Not all teams are represented. It's just modern day representation there on what are the inserts for those cards or those packs of cards. Packaging. Let's look at the packaging here. Kind of bland box. Same kind of cardboard stock, I assume, that the baseball cards were made of. Kind of an off-white. Baseball Greats, Fleer Bubblegum, 24 5-cent packs, 5 cents. Free team emblem in each pack. So there's our team emblem. And a nice pinstriped pitcher throwing the ball in a stadium where the flags are a-flying. Back of these packs say Big League Baseball insignias. Calls out the Giants and puts a hat on there, a Giants hat as well. Favorite team insignia set for shirt and cap. Official colors. Will not run, just iron on. Ideal for a uniform, jacket, t-shirt, cap. Get as many as you want. Send 2 baseball great wrappers and 25 cents for each set. State your team choice, your name, and address. Fleer Big League Insignias, P.O. Box 6767, Chicago 7, Illinois. And offer is valid where restricted or outside. Is not valid where restricted or outside USA. Gum base, sugar, corn syrup, artificial flavor and color, contents, and 1 slab bubblegum and picture cards. Let's see here. It is copyrighted. The Frank H. Fleer Corp. Philippa, made and printed in USA. So you can still send away for stuff. I imagine how busy the mail peoples were back then, shuffling wrappers one way and fun little send-in giveaways to the kids in their mail slots. Most likely not their mailboxes, but perhaps their mail slots. There isn't any information. There's no trivia or comments about this. So let's get right to the gallery. Nap Lajoie leads us off. It's a double print. Beautiful card there. Nap is playing for the Cleveland Naps, oddly enough, but it says Philadelphia and Cleveland, 1896 to 1916. Christy Mathewson, Babe Ruth is card number 3, and it almost looks like a photograph. Even though these are painted pictures, it almost looks like a photograph, shadows included, of him taking a little perhaps BP or even game action, although game action would put you dangerously close to getting walloped by a little exit velocity from the Bambino. But there is a catcher back there, perhaps embellished a little bit. I presume that photo is Carl Hubble, Grover, Cleveland Alexander, Walter Johnson, Chief Bender, Roger Bresnahan, Mordecai Brown, Tris Speaker. That is our first batch there. Then we go to Archie Vaughn, Zach Wheat, George Sisler, Connie Mack, Clark Griffith, Lou Boudreau, Ernie Lombardi, Heine Manouche is on there, and he played for a lot of teams: Detroit, St. Louis Browns, Washington Senators, Pittsburgh Pirates, Brooklyn Dodgers. Marty Marion is card number 19, so I believe that he is your non-MVP or non-Hall of Famer in this bunch. Eddie Collins is card number 20. Eddie Collins' real card, not the variation. Rabbit Marinville, Joe Medwick, Ed Barrow is a owner of the Yankees, of course. I don't know whether it was the owner, but he was the GM, perhaps. Mickey Cochran, Jimmy Collins, Bob Feller, Luke Appling, Lou Gehrig is card number 28. Gabby Harnett is a horizontal landscape card, which is the first of the bunch here, followed by Chuck Klein, also a landscape card. Tony Lazzari is depicted in a Cubs uniform, which is kind of disturbing considering he had most of his success. I didn't say sex, I said success with the New York Yankees. Al Simmons, old Buckefoot's in there. He played for a lot of teams, and he's depicted as a Cleveland something. Wilbert Robinson is in there. Sam Rice, Herb Pennock, Mel Ott. Lefty O'Doul is not a Hall of Famer, but he had probably one of the greatest seasons by a hitter ever, batting .398. Anyway, and Pacific Coast legend, and of course, a Japanese baseball legend as well. Johnny Mize, Bing Miller, Joe Tinker. Let's get on with it. Frank Baker, home run Baker, we call him. Ty Cobb, Paul Derringer, not sure what his status is. Cap Anson is a jerk. Jim Bottomley, Eddie Plank, great pitcher for your Philadelphia Athletics, I should say. Cy Young is in there. Hack Wilson, Ed Walsh, Frank Chance. Moving on here. Dazzy Vance, Bill Terry, Jimmy Fox, of course, depicted rightfully so as a Philadelphia Athletic. Lefty Gomez, Branch Rickey is an executive. Ray Schalk is in there. Johnny Evers, Charlie Garinger. We're getting close here, folks. Burley Grimes played about for every other. He's like the Ricky Henderson of the pre-war era, playing for the Cardinals, the Pirates, the Dodgers, the Giants, the Braves, the Cubs, and the Yankees. Lefty Grove, card number 60. What a beautiful card. Maybe we'll read from the back of Lefty Grove's card here for everybody. Card 60, baseball greats, Robert Moses Grove, lefty, in parentheses, dash March 6th, 1900. How do you not like a guy who was born on a wonderful year like that, 1900? There's no hard math to figure out what his age is in any season. Left-handed pitcher, Philadelphia, Boston, 1925. to 1941. Grove topped American League hurlers with the lowest ERA 8 different seasons and in strikeouts 6 times. He was the last American League pitcher to win 30 games, nailing down 31 in 1931, 16 victories in succession, it says, against only 4 losses. So that is 31-4 with 16 straight wins in 1931. During his 3 pennant years with the A's, his record was 79 wins and 15 defeats. For an 845 mark, he was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1947, which means he was 47 years old when he was elected. I just did it. The math for you: games 616, won 300, lost 140, 682 winning percentage, strikeouts 2266, ERA 3.06. World Series total: he won 4, lost 2, struck out 36, and had a 175 ERA. In, I believe, 3 World Series and 2 victories. Perhaps I'm wrong. But anyway, Lefty Grove, talk about him often and early. 100 wins in the minor leagues when the Orioles were reluctant to sell him to Cornelius McGillicuddy, and still won another 300 in the big leagues. His ERA, had he not rotted away in Boston for a few years, would have been under 300, or under 3, I should say. But keep in mind that people were hitting that ball like crazy in the 30s. The stats are just absolutely crazy. All right, moving on here. Sorry, I digressed. Rube Waddell, he's card 61. Hannes Wagner, 62. Red Ruffing, 63. Kennesaw Landis, 64. He looks like a happy chap. Harry Heilman, 65. John McGraw, 66. Huey Jennings, 67. Hal Newhouser, 68. Wade Hoyt is 69. And Bobo Newsom is card number 70. We're getting close here, folks. Earl Averill is card 71. Now, the 72 Ted Williams is interesting because it truly is a contemporary card. 1960 is when Ted would retire, and he is already amongst the greats, according to the wonderful people in Olney, Philadelphia, PA. He is with everybody else where he belongs. Again, the only contemporary, I believe, in this series, and it would be his last year. His last playing days card, I guess you could say. And what's interesting about this card is it's kind of shrunk side to side. They cropped the picture side to side. You won't find even borders. Top to bottom you will, and side to side, but the tops will not match the sides because it's cropped. It's skinny, as they say. The Splendid Splinter, his card, was skinnied up. 73 is Warren Giles. 74 is Ford Frick. Kai Kyler is 75. Paul Wainer, 76. Pie Trainer, 77. Lloyd Wainer, 78. And Ralph Kiner, 79. Depicted with the Cleveburg Indians, which is a shame because obviously he made his bones with the Pittsburgh Yinzers. And then our crazy card 80A is Eddie Collins with Pepper Martin's back. And we'll see the Lefty Grove with Pepper Martin's back, and we'll see a Joe Tinker with the Pepper Martin back. So Pepper Martin not depicted due to contractual reasons, but we sure did talk about him, or they, on the backs of card 80 throughout with different legends on the front depicted instead. So that's it. That's your 1960 Fleer baseball greats. If you're asking about, let's see here, your Fleer baseball greats, go pick up some of those. Again, I have what is considered the complete set now, thanks to a recent kind of handful of pickups. And this is one of my favorite sets for various reasons. The Philadelphia Connection, of course, but there are the legends of pre-war and at least one modern legend in there as well, and Theodore Samuel Williams. Basement Tapes 86 1960 Fleer. We are officially calling quits on this here set.